Good evening, thrill seekers and night owls. Welcome to another spine-tingling episode of Paranormal Nightshift, the show where shadows whisper their deepest secrets and your most chilling fan-submitted stories come vividly to life. I'm your host, Gideon, your guide through the murky realms of the unexplained, the eerie, and the downright hair-raising. As the clock strikes midnight and the world outside succumbs to darkness, we embark on a journey beyond the veil of the ordinary, delving into tales that will make your skin crawl and your imagination run wild. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal enthusiast or a curious newcomer, tonight's episode promises to keep you on the edge of your seat. But before we immerse ourselves in tonight's haunting narrative, I've got something special for you, our dedicated listeners. Head to paranormalnightshift.com to claim your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, the thrilling first ebook in our acclaimed Dimensional Desperado series. Join Buck Shadow Sheriff Freeman as he embarks on time-traveling adventures that intersect with the paranormal, uncovering mysteries that defy the boundaries of time and space. Trust me, you won't want to miss the beginning of Buck's extraordinary journey. With our special offer set aside, let's return to the shadows where tonight's tale awaits. This story, titled Shadows of the Fourth Floor, comes from one of our loyal listeners, Taz. Prepare yourself to be pulled into the unknown, to walk the haunted corridors of an ordinary apartment that hides extraordinary secrets. Grab a blanket, dim the lights, and maybe keep a light on tonight, because Shadows of the Fourth Floor might just have you sleeping with the lights on. I still wake up in the middle of the night, heart pounding, drenched in sweat from the vivid nightmare that feels all too real. It's been weeks since that night, but the memory remains as sharp as the chill that still lingers in my bones. My name is Taz, and I'm about to share an experience that has forever altered my perception of reality and the unseen forces that lurk in the shadows. It was a Friday evening, the kind where the city lights flicker against the darkening sky, casting elongated shadows that dance eerily on the pavement. My phone buzzed unexpectedly, pulling me away from the mundane rhythm of my routine. The caller ID flashed Jake's name, my best friend since college, someone I trusted implicitly. But there was something different in his voice tonight, a desperation that sent a shiver down my spine. "Taz, I messed up," Jake said abruptly, his words slicing through the ambient noise of my apartment. "I need you. I messed up my new relationship. Can you come over?" Without hesitation, I grabbed my keys and headed out. Jake lived in a building not far from mine, an old apartment complex that had seen better days but held a certain charm with its vintage architecture. As I approached the building, the streets were quiet, the night air heavy with an unspoken tension. I knew Jake's apartment was on the fourth floor, a layout that offered a clear view from his bedroom window down to the street below. Parking my car, I glanced up, expecting to see Jake at the window waving, but instead I saw him staring blankly outside, his posture tense. I raised my hand in a friendly wave, but he didn't respond. "Strange," I muttered to myself, assuming he hadn't noticed me yet. Determined to help, I made my way to the entrance, the dimly lit hallway stretching before me like a tunnel into the unknown. As I walked up the stairs, each step seemed to amplify the silence, the usual creaks and groans of the old building subdued by an oppressive stillness. Reaching the fourth floor, I knocked firmly on Jake's door. "Jake, it's me, Taz. Open up." Seconds passed with no response. I knocked again, harder this time. "Jake, come on, I'm here for you." Still nothing. My heart began to race. His lights are on. Did he not hear? I wondered aloud. a knot of anxiety tightening in my chest. Before I could knock once more, a sudden presence loomed behind me. Spinning around, I found Jake standing there, his face pale and eyes wide with a mix of fear and confusion. "Why are you here?" he demanded, his voice shaky. "Jake, you called me. Look," I said, holding up my phone to show him the missed call. He glanced at it briefly before looking back at me, his expression even more perplexed. "Yeah, I did call you, but what's going on? You don't look so good." We decided to enter his apartment together, seeking answers in the familiar yet now unsettling space. The door creaked ominously as we pushed it open, revealing a scene that should have been ordinary but felt distinctly off. The lights were off, casting the room into near darkness, save for the faint glow of streetlights filtering through the curtains. The silence was deafening, broken only by the distant sound of the storm brewing outside. "Jake!" I called out, stepping further into the room. "Are you here?" No response. The apartment felt empty, void of the usual signs of life. I glanced around, noticing how things seemed slightly out of place. An overturned chair here, a picture frame askew there. My heart raced as unease settled over me. "This isn't right," I whispered, pulling Jake by the arm. "We need to leave." But before we could move, an intense chill filled the room, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand on end. It was as if the very air had turned icy, suffocating me with its weight. "Do you feel that?" I asked, my voice barely a breath. Jake nodded, his eyes darting nervously around the room. "Yeah, something's not right." At that moment, Jake reached behind me, placing a reassuring hand on my shoulder. "Let's get out of here." We hurried towards the door, but as I turned the knob, a loud bang echoed through the apartment. The door wouldn't budge, stuck fast as if held by an invisible force. Panic surged through me. "Jake, something's wrong. We can't leave." Just then, a figure materialized in the corner of the room, shrouded in darkness. My flashlight, which I had absent-mindedly grabbed from my bag, flickered to life, its beam cutting through the gloom to reveal a shadowy presence. The air grew heavier, each breath more laborious than the last. I tried to speak, but my voice caught in my throat, leaving me mute with fear. The figure moved closer, its form taking the shape of a woman with hollow eyes and a mournful expression. Her presence was palpable, the weight of her sorrow pressing down on us. "Help me," she whispered, her voice barely audible yet filled with desperation. I mustered all my courage, forcing my voice to break free. "Who are you? What do you want?" The woman reached out a translucent hand, her fingers trembling. "I'm Eleanor. I've been trapped here for so long." Jake and I exchanged bewildered glances, the reality of the situation sinking in. "Eleanor? How? What happened?" I asked, stepping closer despite the fear gnawing at my insides. Before she could respond, a violent gust of wind swept through the room, scattering papers and rattling the windows. The temperature plummeted, and my breath was visible in the freezing air. An unseen force seemed to pull me towards the mirror on the far wall where Eleanor had first appeared. Desperate to break free, I grabbed my flashlight, aiming its beam directly at the mirror. Instead of dispelling the apparition, the reflection in the glass began to ripple and distort. Eleanor's image grew more solid, her eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "You cannot stay here," she intoned, her voice more precise and commanding. "This place is not safe." Before I could respond, the room darkened further, shadows twisting and coiling around us. I felt an invisible hand grasp my left leg, pinning me to the spot. My mind raced, trying to comprehend the situation, but all I could focus on was the growing presence of something malevolent in the room. Suddenly, a new figure emerged from the shadows. A little boy dressed in old-fashioned clothes, his eyes wide with fear and determination. "Stay back," he shouted, stepping between us and the dark figure that loomed menacingly. Eleanor watched as the boy faced the shadow, his courage shining through despite his young age. "Leave us alone," he demanded, his voice unwavering. The shadow recoiled, its form wavering as if struggling against an unseen force. "Who are you?" I managed to croak, finally finding my voice. The boy looked at me, his expression softening. "I'm Daniel, Eleanor's son. I've been trying to protect her. And you?" Jake and I watched in awe as Daniel continued to confront the shadow, his presence somehow diminishing its power. "You can't harm us here," he declared, his voice growing stronger with each word. "We won't let you." The shadow hissed, its red eyes burning with rage. It lunged towards us, but Daniel stood firm, his small frame radiating an unearthly strength. "Leave now," he commanded, and with a final, anguished scream, the shadow dissipated into the darkness. The room seemed to breathe again, the oppressive atmosphere lifting as the temperature returned to normal. Eleanor approached us, her expression one of gratitude and peace. "Thank you," she whispered, her form beginning to fade. "Daniel, thank you for helping us find peace." As Eleanor vanished, Daniel remained, his presence gentle and reassuring. "I'll always be here to protect you," he said softly before fading into the background, leaving me with a sense of calm and a newfound connection to the supernatural. In the weeks that followed, life returned to a semblance of normalcy. The strange occurrences in Jake's apartment ceased, the oppressive feeling lifted, and a sense of peace settled over the space. However, the encounter left an indelible mark on me. I began to notice Daniel's presence in subtle ways, catching glimpses of him out of the corner of my eye, feeling his protective aura when I needed it most. One night, I had a vivid dream of Daniel, his little hand reaching out to me with a smile that conveyed both innocence and strength. "I'll always be here," he whispered, echoing his words from that fateful night. Since then, I haven't seen Eleanor or the shadow, but Daniel remains a constant guardian, a bridge between the living and the departed. The memory of that night still sends chills down my spine, a haunting reminder that the world is filled with mysteries waiting to be uncovered. If you ever find yourself in a situation that feels beyond the ordinary, remember that there are forces at play that we may not fully understand. Sometimes, the most profound connections are forged in the unlikeliest of encounters, bridging the gap between the seen and the unseen. And that wraps up this thrilling journey into the unknown. Taz, thank you so much for sharing your incredible story with us. Your experience embodies what we explore here on Paranormal Nightshift, those eerie moments that blur the line between reality and the supernatural. If you enjoyed tonight's episode and want to dive deeper into the mysteries we uncover, consider supporting the show. By joining us on Patreon, you'll gain access to an ad-free listening experience, ensuring that nothing disrupts your immersion into our spine-chilling tales. But that's not all. Patreon members also receive exclusive content, including behind-the-scenes stories, bonus episodes, and early access to all future adventures of the Dimensional Desperado series. Plus, you'll unlock special perks like limited edition merchandise and personalized shoutouts, making you an integral part of our Paranormal Nightshift community. Don't miss out on these unique opportunities to enhance your experience with us. Not ready to commit to Patreon just yet? No problem at all. You can still support us by subscribing to our podcast on Spotify and YouTube. You'll never miss an episode by hitting that subscribe button, ensuring you're always up to date with our latest stories and investigations. While you're there, take a moment to drop a comment and let us know what you thought about tonight's episode. Your feedback is invaluable. It helps us tailor our content to suit your interest better and keeps the conversation about the paranormal alive and thriving. Don't forget to visit paranormalnightshift.com to grab your free copy of The Birth of Dimensional Desperado, the first ebook in our gripping Dimensional Desperado series. This exclusive offer is the perfect gateway to immerse yourself even further into Buck Shadow Sheriff Freeman's wild and mysterious adventures. Whether you're a seasoned fan or new to the series, this ebook will transport you to a world where time-traveling paranormal adventures await around every corner. Finally, if you've got a story of your own, whether it's a chilling encounter, an unexplained phenomenon, or a personal ghost story, we'd love to hear from you. Head over to Paranormal Nightshift to submit your tale. Sharing your experiences helps us grow and builds a community where we can all explore and understand the supernatural together. Your story could be featured in an upcoming episode, giving you the chance to become a part of our ever-expanding anthology of the unknown. As we close tonight's episode, remember that the shadows are never truly silent, and the unknown is always just a whisper away. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and most importantly, keep your lights on. Until next time, this is Gideon, signing off from Paranormal Nightshift, where the darkness reveals its secrets and your fears come to life.